Let's be honest. School history lied to you. They told you ancient civilizations were wise, noble, advanced, philosophers, kings, beautiful temples, great empires. What they forgot to mention is that many of these civilizations were built on fear, blood, and decisions so dark that modern historians still hesitate to talk about them. And no, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is documented history, the kind that doesn't look good in textbooks. So today, we're uncovering the dark secrets of ancient civilizations that you were never supposed to learn. And trust me, some of these facts are so disturbing, you'll never look at ancient history the same way again. Let's start with a fun question. Why were ancient people so obsessed with death? Spoiler alert, because life back then was absolutely terrifying. Take ancient Egypt. We're taught it was a land of gods, pyramids, and eternal life. What they don't tell you is that death was basically their entire personality. Egyptians spent more time preparing for death than actually living. Some people saved money for decades just to afford proper burial rituals. And if you couldn't pay, well, enjoy eternity as a forgotten soul wandering the afterlife forever, according to them. But Egypt wasn't alone. In ancient Rome, death was entertainment. Executions weren't hidden. They were sold as tickets. People brought food, kids watched, and society called it culture. Nothing says advanced civilization like cheering while someone is torn apart by wild animals. Now here's where things get uncomfortable. Many ancient civilizations practiced rituals so violent that later generations tried to erase them completely. The Aztecs, for example, believed the sun would literally stop rising if they didn't feed it human hearts. So they did exactly that. Thousands of sacrifices, in public, on top of pyramids. Priests would cut open the chest while the victim was still alive. And this wasn't punishment, it was religion. But don't feel too safe if you're thinking that only happened in the Americas. In ancient Greece, sacrifices weren't always symbolic. Animals were common, but humans were not unheard of during crises. When crops failed or plagues spread, people didn't blame nature. They blamed the gods, and someone always had to pay. Ancient laws are often praised as the foundation of modern justice. That's optimistic. In ancient Rome, laws were less about fairness and more about control. If you were a slave, your life had almost zero value. If your master was murdered and the killer wasn't found, every slave in the household could be executed, collectively, guilty or not. In ancient Babylon, under Hammurabi's code, punishments depended on your social class. Same crime, different outcome. If a noble hurt a poor man, a fine. If a poor man hurt a noble, death. Justice wasn't blind, it just didn't care. Here's something even darker. Ancient civilizations didn't just hide knowledge from enemies, they hid it from their own people. In Egypt, only priests had access to certain texts, astronomy, medicine, advanced mathematics. Common people weren't allowed to know too much, because knowledge meant power, and power was dangerous. In ancient Greece, philosophers who questioned reality too much weren't always celebrated. Socrates didn't die peacefully in bed. He was executed for asking questions. Let that sink in. One of the most famous thinkers in history was killed because society decided his ideas were too uncomfortable. So what happened to all these powerful civilizations? Many didn't fall because of enemies. They collapsed from the inside. Corruption, extreme inequality, blind faith. The Roman Empire stretched too far, trusted the wrong leaders, and ignored warning signs for decades. The Maya civilization may have collapsed partly due to environmental destruction caused by their own expansion. Turns out, even ancient superpowers weren't immune to bad decisions. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Ancient civilizations weren't just wise and advanced, they were complex, contradictory, and often terrifying. They built wonders while committing horrors. And maybe the reason these stories were hidden is simple. because history is much easier to admire when you don't look too closely. If you enjoyed uncovering the dark side of the ancient world, subscribe because history didn't disappear, it was hidden.